What's up, guys? Today I figured I'd do a video on this bathroom exhaust fan that's been making noise. So I thought I did one, and turns out I didn't. So I figured make it today. So you're gonna take the cover off, take the light bulb out. There's a little acorn nut up there you can see. You take a driver, all you're gonna do is unscrew that. This metal piece and the plastic piece is gonna come down. Don't let it fall completely. We're just gonna take that down. You're gonna see all the nice crud that's been, building up. So this is, normal for this shit. You're not gonna take it down every month or whatever and clean it. You're gonna clean this part and everything with the sweeper and all, but this builds up over time. And there is a cord here, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get the sweeper and clean all this out first before I start creating a big mess here. Okay, so after you got all of the heavy stuff, you're not going to clean it spick and span at this point. But up here you can see this part is attached. It's just a plug. You're not going to get electrocuted or nothing. Comes out, it's just like plugging a wall outlet in. You can see that right up there. And then this wire here is the fan motor wire, and you have another receptacle there. Okay, so these two bolts or two nuts don't come off and just drop down. I recalled there's a tab here, and then over on this side there's one in the center. You have to use a flathead screwdriver, and then this whole metal housing kind of flops down. Stick the screwdriver here, next to here, pull out, you can see that's gapped, and then there's a little tongue here that comes down behind here, and then that will pop out. Okay, so you got that assembly out. You have the top part, the motor's underneath, and that's what she looks like outward. So this was the part that tongue fit in, and then you have two things there. So you want to take the sweeper and clean all this out. Take a rag, you're not going to get electrocuted or nothing. Wipe it all out while you have it apart. Alright, so after you got that heavy stuff off, take a damp rag, wipe it all out up in there the best you can. Get around there. And again, don't get no water in here, but wipe it. And then clean your perimeter where it was real dirty. Okay, so now we got this down where we can actually disassemble it. So I took those two nuts off, and then this just comes off the motor. We're gonna clean that up, and then you can see how much dirt is there. It's only outside dirt, and you'll have people believing you need to replace the motor when in fact you do not need to replace the motor. There's nothing wrong with the motor except the grease burned out of it. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna clean all this shit up, and we'll cut back. So I do want to mention, do not move that screw. That's set from the factory, leave that be. So for the next part, you're gonna have to get a drift pin or something. We're gonna have to knock the motor out because there's a press fit here. Alright, so I couldn't find my drift pins, so I'm just using a small screwdriver. Now make sure you don't go bashing this because you'll crack the plastic here. Just give it a tap. Have somebody hold the motor so it doesn't fall out from underneath there. Okay, so after you give it a couple love taps, you can see there is a keyway right there, and there is a keyway in there, so it only goes on one way. Now we'll go ahead, we'll clean this up, and we can clean this up too. Alright, so after we get the motor all cleaned up, now there's the numbers. You can get a new motor if you want. The last time I checked, I think they were like 32 something or whatever. That's years ago though. So we're gonna take this one apart, and the way this one comes apart, you have your armature here, and then you got these 4 clips. So these clips, the way this works is you got to get a flathead screwdriver, and you got to pop these, and it's kind of hard because they're hinged down here, but you got to get a screwdriver in and pop them all out, and then the whole assembly with the armature will come out. And this is where we need a grease plus the armature. We got to clean all that up. And if you can't get one you know, like I couldn't get this one, so I tried this one. You can see how that's clamped there. It's just like a little hook and it comes over there. And the way this works is this slips in there and it hooks over. Now you got to repeat the same process for all of that. And the way I did this was, you know, I get it in and then I work it towards the front here and then kind of just rotate the screwdriver counterclockwise, and that's going to pop out like so. Just like that. So once you got all of them out, you're going to take it out of the vise, you're going to push the armature out, and this back plate will come off. So you may have to give it a little love tap, and you just knock that, and then this will come off. So you got your armature here, this comes out, and you're going to want to put some grease down there. You want to clean all this shit up, and then this is your end cap, your end bell, and you're going to clean all that up and re-grease it. And what happens is the grease, you know, over time it just dries out. Alright, so you can see we got the can cleaned out. You got all that shit out of there. And then the end bell, you can see we got all that shit cleaned out of there. So you can see we got a lot of grease down in there, in the can, in the end bell, and we also greased the end of each part of the armature, including them washers. So you're going to want to stick the armature back into the can, and then we'll put the end bell back on. So you put the motor back in the vise, you make sure your end bell is seated in your can, your armature spins freely, and then we put these little clips back in. So if you remember, this is the side, goes in, and then you're just going to push each one. So keep one hand over here, and then use this one or a tool, like, you know, end of a screwdriver to push that over there to lock them in. Okay, so after you have all them back in, and those do take a lot of force, use the end of the screwdriver. We're gonna go ahead, and you want to make sure you orientate this before you place that fan back on here in the proper order. See, if we put the studs down into this bracket this way, the cord's going to be wrong. So you want to orientate, you want to put the cord down through here, that is facing this hole here, and then you put the studs back in, and we'll go ahead and take these nuts and screw them back on. Okay, so once you got them tightened up, I figured I'd just include this bolt that I said earlier that is set from the factory. That rides up against the end bell of your motor so it doesn't rock back and forth. So just leave that alone, and we're gonna go ahead and turn this around. We're gonna take our fan after we cleaned it up and go ahead, make sure the keyway is in the right spot. You can see this is turning nice and smooth, and we're gonna push the fan back on there. Okay, so this pushed on, and I think the last time I did this, I don't think I used the screwdriver like I did earlier. I think I left the motor in the housing and then just pulled, and it came right off. The other thing to take note is, don't push this plastic down too far. We took note before, I took note before, that the shaft of the armature was flush with this plastic. And if you don't do that, what can happen is the bottom of this is going to ride on the metal, and then that defeats the whole purpose. So you can see that's got a little bit of lag. That's because of the grease. Just a side note, the acorn nut, that goes right on the screw that bumps up against the motor. So that's what that actually goes to. So after we got it reassembled, we'll hit the fan, and you can hear she's silent again. Although I didn't let you hear the first time with the noise.